Hey everyone, this is the Spoon Dude back with a quick video showing my customized DC Multiverse Arkham City Batman figure. This is of course the Batman from the second Rocksteady Batman video game. One of the best versions of Batman if you ask me, and I absolutely love this particular costume of Batman, kind of taking a live action approach to the classic version of the costume with the underoos and the kind of basic gray bodysuit, and just adding a little bit more of that real-world detail and armor to it. And because I love this version of Batman so much, I decided it was about time I got a figure representation of it, and that's why I got the McFarlane Toys Arkham City Batman figure. And it's a solid enough figure, but it really was missing a lot of paint, and that's why I've come around here and added paint to it. Starting with the head sculpt, the original figure, of course, had the Detective Vision white eyes, which are closer to the kind of comic book version of Batman. Don't get me wrong, he looked really cool, but for me, wanting to have a figure representation of the Arkham Batman, it was important to me that this one had the eyes showing, since 9 times out of 10 when you're picturing the Arkham version of Batman, you're gonna see his eyes. So I went to the eyes with a metallic blue mixed with a little bit of gold, mixed with a little bit of silver to get that pale light blue kind of color that blue eyes have, and I detailed it with some black around it and the black dot in the middle. I also added a little bit of a flesh tone kind of paint wash around the eyes to differentiate where kind of the flesh around his eyes would be exposed underneath the eye holes of his mask there, which you can actually, I think, see in the sculpt. And by the way, this is a really nice head sculpt for McFarlane Toys, and definitely beats out the first head sculpt they did for an Arkham Batman. I also added a slight blue wash to the cowl there to kind of give it that subtle blue hue that I feel you could see in the game. And I did the same on his undies there. And that also kind of differentiates the cowl from the cape, which is something I think was in the game, since the cape would be a different material than his cowl. So there's that. As for the bodysuit, I just went with it with a bit of a black wash to kind of highlight the sculpt there, so you get all the rivets and the seam lines are now highlighted in black. And it kind of gives the figure more of a dirty look to kind of simulate the dirt and grime that he got into in the game. Once you start playing the game, you'll notice his suit is all sorts of dirty and muddy and kind of torn up, and this black wash does a pretty decent job, I think, kind of emulating that effect. I also went over the cowl and the bodysuit with a matte finish to try and make it look a little bit nicer quality, and I think that works pretty well. You'll notice though, this shoulder for some reason didn't quite get hit with that matte spray, so that is slightly glossy, but the rest of them looks pretty flat and finished, so I'm happy about that. And then as for the armored bits, I went over those with a dry brushing of a kind of metallic blue color, throwing in some silver on it as well to kind of make it look like more worn metal, and again kind of bringing that blue color back into the design. And I'm pretty happy with how that looks. So there's that. So it's kind of a more worn look. You can kind of pick out the details of the sculpt a little bit better now. So yeah. And then the belt's just a gold now instead of that kind of flat mustard yellow color. And I added some black there. And yeah, this wasn't a complete total repaint. I just kind of added paint on top of the figure to kind of bring out the details more. And honestly, I'm pretty happy with how it looks. And I think this makes for a pretty solid kind of representation of the Arkham Batman in my collection, which you can see I've paired with the DC Direct version of the Joker, since I think this one has the better sculpt than the McFarlane one. But yeah, anyways, let me know what you think of this customization in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts on the figure and the games in the comments below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next video.